For this Crusader Kings 3 timelapse, we decided to put on very hard to see how the AI would do. Plus, we needed to zoom in the camera so that we wouldn't have this strobe effect happen at the top of the screen. Crusader Kings 3 time-lapse starts out pretty normal, pretty standard. Want to draw your eye to the Byzantines versus the Abbasid or Arabian Empire. I think this is the biggest matchup of the whole time-lapse, as you can see. Also, the HREs formed a little earlier. Pretty standard stuff so much, but really, I think these are the two juggernauts of this run. It seems like they're going to have a lot of animosity back and forth with each other taking land and seemingly kind of keeping each other in check. Arabia isn't here. The Byzantines probably form the Roman Empire pretty easily. They're just missing a couple. They're pretty much just missing the Egyptian territories and the ones in Jerusalem as well. But they keep expanding. Both of them are expanding outwards, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely dominating the regions that they held, but it seems like the Arabian Empire now, I guess, are on the losing side of this war. They keep taking. Well, actually, no. Right there, they took some land back. It seems like they both keep taking pot shots at each other just to see what happens. But then, lo and behold, who comes in the wings? Boom! Mongols takes out Arabia, then boom, takes out the Byzantine Empire and absolutely dominates the rest of the world by 1222. So if I don't know what happens with the Khans themselves, but they must have died off pretty quickly because the whole empire collapses by 1239. The Holy Roman Empire picks up where those two other empires left off. Bulgaria kind of takes over where the Byzantines were, but nobody really gets to their size as those former powers are. 867, 868 start, whatever that is. And we have very consolidated borders after just having the AI stuck on very hard. Seems like, AI does well for itself on very hard when no players around. I don't know if I could have handled all this madness if I was in the game myself. But let's look around. As we can see, Britannia and the HRE have kind of picked up where the Byzantines left off, as well as the Arabian Empire. There's still a lot of these Khanates hanging out since the collapse of the two empires, and three empires if you could include the Mongols. There's probably a couple. Oh, okay, so here's a confederation, but everything for the most part is kingdom or empire at this point in the game, which is kind of crazy to say. You love to see Hindustan and stuff like that. These guys have oodles and boodles of cash. They're just making so much cash. Like 2,000 gold. One big happy Carling family has been running this shit show since 1950 or 953, not 19. Which makes me interested in seeing, are they almost done with all of their legacies? It doesn't seem like it. They're still shy on a couple of them. 1218, which he does all that initial conquest that we saw in that little recap that I did. He dies, passes on to his son Jochi the Hawk, who then also dies at around his 53rd birthday, which is kind of crazy. He lasts all the way to 1236, and then his son Badai makes it all the way to literally one day, one solid day as Khan, and everything falls apart. I wonder if it's just because he couldn't handle all the incoming like rebellions that happened, and so he was just like, I'm the one day Khan. Then after that it's Ashuri Orthodox and Tengri. Did Tengri reform? No. Did any of the other faiths reform? I always like to look and see, but I don't think anybody really reforms. We would see it. I feel like this one faith sometimes reforms, but no. Well, let's look at language. We haven't really looked at language in a long time. So it looks like everybody in Europe either is speaking like Anglic or High German or Greek. The rest of the world is Arabic and Mongol, as well as some Kanda down here. As for the kingdom map mode, it's kind of looking gross. Sicily. Damn, somebody made the kingdom of Sicily and then it fell apart. I don't like the color it made, but it looks like it's ripped right through all the kingdoms in Italy. And then as for the empire map mode, looks like kind of a mess. We never really see the Mongols take over India, and I'm not sure if that's just because the AI, by the time they've moved west, they've sapped most of their strength, so they can't get to India in time to make everything they want happen, all their dreams come true. But that seems to be what has happened here. Yeah, and the Byzantines are pretty much just Cyprus and North Africa at this point, which kind of a weird Byzantines, just forcing them out of their lands traditionally. And it's like, what is this one? Is this Yemen? Eurofid? Also known as Abyssinian. Nice. Did that? No, wow. Most of Africa is Ashar, which crazy. We've traversed a lot of time in this, so I kind of always like to see if there's any crazy statted people, and it looks like we've got a couple crazy statted boys out here. Crazy stats, 90 in stewardship, 100 in intrigue. He is a stewardship focused guy. This woman is 120, 100, 110. That's crazy. I mean, I think people were telling me last time it's because that the game has this thing where certain characters will get a much higher limit just because their family gets those abilities from dynastic legacy, or it's like some weird behind the scenes mechanic that they were talking about, because they're pulling, like vassal wise, they're pulling them probably the most cash. Yeah, a decent from like 1900 from their vassals and about 480 from their own lands, whereas these boys are only doing half the amount. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So what have we learned from this little time lapse? Very hard makes it so that the AI gets really big and strong because they are way A, more stable, B, loaded with cash, and C, Mongols still are able to destroy whole empires in one fell swoop. The fact that 2 empires fell in a matter of moments, it felt like, and then they themselves were felled by their own. I wonder if that person hadn't died, would they have gotten most, if not all, the map at that point? Would have been interesting to see if all those characters had lived longer. We love a good you sighting whenever possible. It's you making us possible for all this on their Masharik, which is kind of weird. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.